launched ballistic missile at a military parade in Pyongyang in a show of strength days before Joe Biden's inauguration as U.S. president.
And a Japanese cabinet minister admitted that anything can happen with the coronavirus postponed Tokyo Olympics, becoming the first senior official to concede uncertainty about the games as Japan and other countries battle a surge in cases. First, a powerful earthquake rocked Indonesia's Sulawesi island today, a city of about 110,000 in West Sulawesi province, while another 8 were killed south of the area after the quake struck. Rescuers were searching for more than a dozen patients and staff trapped under a leveled Mamuju hospital. Earlier on Friday, rescuers said they were also trying to reach a family of 8 who were under their destroyed home. At least one hotel had partially collapsed, while the regional governor's office also suffered extensive damage after the quake struck at 2:18 a.m. local time. A Mamuju resident also said that damage across the city was severe. The meteorological agency warned residents that the area could be hit by strong aftershocks and to avoid the beachfront in case of a tsunami. Now, that warning sparked more fear in the quake-jolted city. The city's airport had also been damaged. The Indonesian Red Cross said it was rushing medical and relief supplies to the scene, with its teams working to help find trapped residents. The quake's epicenter was 36 kilometers south of Mamuju, and it had a relatively shallow depth of 18 kilometers, according to the United States Geological Survey.
In other news, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence made a surprise visit at the Capitol Hill, thanking the National Guard troops who will be protecting the inauguration. Watch this.
I've got a special place in my heart for our National Guard. Thank you all for stepping forward to serve your country. Thank you for stepping forward to provide security here in our nation's capital at such an important time in the life of our nation. And it's a historic transfer of power, the inauguration of the new President of the United States. You all are going to make that possible. I just came from a briefing at Homeland Security, and I heard about the great efforts that our National Guard is making, and literally thousands and thousands of men and women in uniform that are going to make it possible for us to respond. We have Secret Service, we have FBI, we have FEMA, but the National Guard is playing a vital role here, more than 20,000 strong before we get to Inauguration Day. So I just encourage you to be vigilant, okay? Respect the unified chain of command, to look after your people, and we're going to deliver to the American people a safe inauguration. We're going to swear in a new president, a new vice president, and we're going to move our nation forward, okay? You're going to make it possible. So thank you all very much.
All right, guys.
God bless you.
National Guard soldiers in body armor and camouflage spent the night inside the Capitol, their black rifles leaning against the polished stone walls of the building's halls. Some 20,000 National Guard soldiers are expected in Washington for Biden's inauguration, more than the combined number of U.S. troops officially deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Lawmakers on Wednesday formally accused Trump of inciting the mob that attacked the Capitol last week in a failed effort to stop Congress from finalizing the president's November loss to Joe Biden. The House voted 232 to 197 to impeach the president, with 10 members of Trump's Republican Party joining 222 Democrats.
Democrats can say, quote, you know, there needs to be unrest in the streets, while there is unrest in the streets. But they're going to impeach the president for saying peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard. Let's be consistent, all of us.
The House demonstrated that no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. That Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to our country, and that once again, we honored our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God.
The Capitol building grounds are ringed by a security fence erected after the attack, similar to the one raised around the White House months ago when protests erupted nationwide against police killings of African Americans. The U.S. Capitol, known for its historical monuments, museums, and crowds of tourists, has had a rough ride over the past 12 months. Roads and sidewalks have been gradually shut down around the White House, with a security cordon now holding people far back from Trump's residence. Police patrol vehicles keep their flashing lights on at all times and block streets normally streaming with traffic, while high metal fences surround many government buildings, such as the U.S. Treasury. Crowds cheering Biden's inauguration on January 20 will be thin on the ground as authorities have urged Americans to avoid the city, fearing more violence.
Meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden will propose injecting $1.9 trillion into the U.S. economy when he takes office next week, as evidence mounts that the recovery from the sharp downturn caused by COVID-19 is flagging. Dubbed the American Rescue Plan, the proposal, released Thursday, includes a host of measures aimed at revitalizing the world's largest economy. Take a look.
In a press briefing Wednesday,
Okay, we'll be back with that news right after this one. The center of Washington was in lockdown as more than 20,000 armed National Guard troops were mobilized following the deadly assault on the Capitol and the threat of more violence at the presidential inauguration of Joe Biden. Here's Eliza Gonzalez-Manglikmot with more on the security measures in place.
we are in front of the U.S. Capitol days prior to President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. And today you can feel the heavy police and National Guard presence here at the nation's capital. Now, behind me, you can see a portion of the about 20,000 National Guard members reportedly deployed here for the inauguration ceremony and the days leading to it. It comes on the heels of the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6 by supporters of outgoing President Donald Trump, who were trying to stop Congress's confirmation of Biden's election victory. The riot that escalated to the forced entry into and vandalism of the Capitol building has bore criticism not just from lawmakers and residents of the country, but also across the globe, most of whom blame the unfortunate event to President Trump, who on January 13 was impeached on charges of incitement of insurrection. This has also been a very historic one because he is the only U.S. president impeached twice. Now, major streets in the district are closed and traffic through downtown D.C. is being rerouted for several days now. More buildings are boarded up and very few people who usually frequent the area are seen today. Mayor Muriel Bowser, in a press briefing Wednesday, encouraged everyone who wishes to witness the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden to do so from the comfort of home. First, to avoid potential violence anticipated to happen in the coming days leading to the inauguration, and of course to prevent possible exposure to the coronavirus. Now, Mayor Bowser also requested the Department of Homeland Security to extend the National Special Security event from January 11th through the 24th instead of the original period of January 19 through the 21st. Now, Metro announced Wednesday service adjustments for Metro Rail and Metrobus to accommodate the expanded security perimeter beginning January 15th, that's Friday, through the 21st, that's Thursday, a day after the inauguration. Now, for information on service plans, station closures, and Metrobus detour, go to WMATA.com. Wednesday, also, in a formal statement and a video release, President Trump condemned violence and urged for peace and calm in the coming days. Stay tuned to Eagle News for more updates on the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez, Manglikmot, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you so much, Eliza. Now on to other news. Japan's Hiroshima prefecture is to conduct the country's first mass coronavirus tests as it battles a surge of infections. Watch this.
Japan's Hiroshima prefecture is to conduct the country's first mass coronavirus tests as it battles a surge of infections, an official said Friday. Prefectural official Kazuhiro Saito confirmed reports that the test would be offered to up to 800,000 people living and working in parts of Hiroshima City, home to 1.2 million people. 11 of Japan's regions are currently under a virus state of emergency as the country battles a third wave of infections, though Hiroshima is not among them. The restrictions include asking eating and drinking establishments to close by 8 p.m., requesting that businesses use remote working to help cut the number of commuters on public transport by 70%, and urging people to refrain from non-essential outings at all times, especially after 8 p.m. Hiroshima Governor Hidehiko Yuzaki said Thursday the number of infections in the city in December was at the level where it could come under a state of emergency, warning that the city faced a rapid expansion of cases. Details as to when and where the free testing would be conducted are yet to be decided. Japan has faced criticism at times for avoiding the strategy of mass virus testing employed by some other countries. Experts argue a targeted testing strategy paired with contact tracing can help bring infections under control. The Japanese government will suspend the entry of all foreigners in principle starting on Thursday as the coronavirus keeps spreading around the world. The government had continued to allow business people to enter Japan from 10 Asian countries, including China and South Korea, plus Taiwan, after variants of the virus, which are believed to be highly transmissible, were detected in some countries. But the government decided on the full suspension as the virus is surging in Japan. The measure will continue as long as the declaration of a state of emergency is effective. The declaration covering some prefectures is to remain in place until February 7th. Japanese citizens can return to Japan. Foreigners with resident status are allowed to re-enter the country, and foreigners with special reasons, such as a relative's funeral or childbirth, are also admitted. Meanwhile, for an update, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government says it confirmed 2,001 new cases of coronavirus infection on Friday. This is the first time since last Saturday that the daily tally in the capital has exceeded 2,000. The figure is also the second highest for a Friday. The total number of cases in Tokyo now stands at 82,069. Back to you, CJ.
Thank you so much, Dennis Lu. And please do stay safe out there. Keep us posted on what's happening there, especially when it comes to the Olympics, because we're hearing different words from the government leaders there. So we'll see. We will be getting the updates from you when it comes to that.
Thank you very much, CJ. Reporting live from Tokyo, Japan. This is Dennis Lu. We live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, nuclear-armed North Korea unveiled a new submarine-launched ballistic missile at a military parade in Pyongyang. State media showed Friday in a calculated show of strength days before Joe Biden's inauguration as U.S. president. The display came after the 5-yearly Congress of the ruling Workers' Party, where leader Kim Jong-un decried the U.S. as his country's foremost principal enemy. A grinning Kim, as you can see here, oversaw the parade on Thursday evening as specialist infantry, artillery, and tanks rolled through Kim Il-sung Square. The troops' breath condensed in the cold winter air, and none of the thousands of participants were seen wearing masks. Aircraft flew overhead, forming the party symbol. Aircraft flew Now, 4 of the SLMBMs, or submarine-launched ballistic missile with black and white cones, were driven past. Footage on state television showed. And Part 1 gun of Handong Global University in the south described them as the North's ultimate nuclear weapon. Take a look.
So I think the other reason that the North Korea decided to have a military parade and to show 2 new types of the tactical and strategical missiles to the world is to put pressure to the United States incoming Biden administration. The 8th Party Congress, Kim Jong-un mentioned that he has planned to build and launch the submarine. And with this SLBM, it's the kind of end state of to develop all nuclear weapons. So he has a very clear intention to going that way. Of course, it's also a message to the United States. About the SLBM, of course, its target not this. After inauguration, the new American government has a time of review of the certain policy. It usually takes 6 months and even a year. The North Korea wanted to have a leverage over this review process of United States policy toward North Korea. They wanted to reflect what they want. So that's why they are showing this kind of hotline policy in January before the inauguration of Biden administration. South Korea is target to the mainland of United States continent. So unless United States have met what the North Korea has demanded, the whole withdraw the hostile policy toward North Korea, the North Korea will continue to develop, and which means that huge threat to the mainland of United States. This time, Kim Jong-un shows his very clear intention for that purpose. After inauguration, the new American government has a time of review of the certain policy. It usually takes 6 months and even a year. The North Korea wanted to have a leverage over this review process of United States policy toward North Korea. They wanted to reflect what they want. So that's why they are showing this kind of hotline policy in January before the inauguration of Biden administration.
최강의 병기 소중 전략 탄도탄.
In Ireland this time, where from Saturday, all arriving travelers will have to show a negative coronavirus test, as the country's infection rate is now the highest in the world. We have Ariane Celestino of our EBC UK Bureau. Ariane.
Hi, Alma, and yes, Ireland said Tuesday that from Saturday, all arriving travelers will have to show a negative coronavirus test, as the country's infection rate is now the highest in the world. In the first such blanket restrictions, the Irish government said in a statement that all travelers will need to show a negative test result. Currently, this only applies to travelers from the United Kingdom and South Africa, where new highly infectious strains have been detected. Travelers from the UK and South Africa will still have to quarantine for 14 days on arrival, even after showing a negative test result. Ireland, a country of 5 million, in December had the lowest infection rate in the European Union, but the number of cases has surged since a dramatic relaxation of restrictions over the festive period. The number of confirmed cases rose from just over 93,000 cases on January 1 to more than 150,000 on Monday. The number of cases per million of population, 1,288, is the highest in the world, according to data compiled by the University of Oxford. On Tuesday, Switzerland announced a quarantine on Irish travelers as World Health Organization (WHO) Emergencies Director Michael Ryan said the nation has one of the most acute increases in disease incident of any country. Reporting from the United Kingdom, I am Ariane Celestino, and we live in interesting times.
More than 30 million coronavirus cases have been officially recorded in Europe, according to an AFP tally based on official health statistics at 0800 GMT on Friday. The 52 nations, which include Russia, constitute the world's worst affected zone in terms of the number of infections, with a total of 30,003,905. Europe is followed by the US and Canada, which had recorded 23,994,507 cases. Latin America and the Caribbean, 16,989,628. Asia at 14,485,588. The Middle East, 4,323,966. Africa with 3,170,837. And Oceania, 31,443.
In other news, Amazonas state in northern Brazil on Thursday announced a 10-day curfew to try to slow the spread of the coronavirus as cases soar and hospitals run out of beds and oxygen. Authorities warned of a dire situation across the vast state. In its capital, Manaus, the health system has been pushed to breaking point. The city has run out of oxygen and some health centers have become a type of suffocation chamber. Josem Orellana from the Fiocruz Amazonia Scientific Investigation Institute told AFP. Amazonas Governor Wilson Lima said the state was in the most critical moment of the pandemic. The 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew will begin Friday. These are difficult but necessary measures, Lima said. We are in a war operation. According to official figures, Manaus on Wednesday saw a fourth straight day of record burials, 198, with 87 of them deaths from COVID-19. Oxygen is needed to treat COVID-19 patients suffering from respiratory complications. Amazonas produces significant quantities of oxygen, but now our people need oxygen and solidarity, said Lima, who added some patients would be transferred to other states. Military personnel delivered 400 oxygen cylinders to Amazonas over the last 5 days.
Meanwhile, China has sent over 20,000 rural residents living in the epicenter of the country's latest virus outbreak to state-run quarantine facilities as Beijing reported the worst nationwide figures since March. Now, the country had largely brought the virus under control after strict measures, including mass testing and travel restrictions. But recent weeks have seen numbers climbing again, especially in the north, prompting a fresh wave of lockdowns. Another 144 infections were reported by the National Health Commission on Friday, the highest single daily tally since March last year, mostly in Hebei province, where more than 22 million people are in lockdown. The surge appears to be fueled by so-called silent infections or asymptomatic cases in mostly rural areas on the outskirts of cities. Over 20,000 residents from villages around Shijiazhuang, about 294 kilometers southwest of Beijing, have been sent to state-run quarantine facilities starting from Wednesday, according to state broadcaster CCTV.
President-elect Joe Biden will propose injecting $1.9 trillion into the U.S. economy when he takes office next week, as evidence mounts that the recovery from the sharp downturn caused by COVID-19 is flagging. Dubbed the American Rescue Plan, the proposal released Thursday includes a host of measures aimed at revitalizing the world's largest economy.
Tonight, I'll lay out my first step, the American Rescue Plan, that will tackle the pandemic and get direct financial assistance and relief to Americans who need it the most. The vaccine rollout in the United States has been a dismal failure thus far. Tomorrow, I will lay out our vaccination plan to correct course and meet our goal of 100 million shots at the end of my first 100 days as president. It's a great deal, but I'm convinced we are ready to get this done. The very health of our nation is at stake. Our rescue plan also includes immediate relief to Americans hardest hit and most in need. We will finish the job of getting a total of $2,000 in cash relief to people who need it the most. The $600 already appropriated is simply not enough. It's wrong. It's tragic. It's unnecessary. It's unacceptable. So we're going to extend emergency nutritional assistance for 43 million children and their families enrolled in the SNAP program through the rest of this year. Our rescue plan will provide flexible grants to help those hardest hit small businesses survive the pandemic, and the low-cost capital that will help entrepreneurs of all backgrounds create and maintain jobs, plus provide the essential goods and services that communities depend upon.
Top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi embraced Biden's plan, vowing to put it before lawmakers. But this is just the first step, and the official said Biden intends to present a second recovery plan to lawmakers soon after his inauguration on Wednesday, aimed at spurring hiring and fighting climate change. The government on Thursday reported a spike in new jobless claim filings in the first week of 2021 to nearly 1 million, its highest level since August, while official data last week showed the economy shed jobs in December. The government on Thursday reported a spike in new jobless claim filings in the first week of 2021.
And joining us live from the United Kingdom is Erica Celestino. Hello, Erica.
Hello, Alma.
Go ahead, Erica.
Yes, thank you, Alma. So the latest updates here in the United Kingdom is that Britain will ban all arrivals from South America, Panama, Cape Verde, and Portugal from 4 a.m. GMT Friday over fears of importing a new coronavirus variant in Brazil, the UK government said Thursday. This measure does not apply to British and Irish nationals and third country nationals with residence rights, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said on Twitter. Passengers returning from these destinations must self-isolate for 10 days along with their households, he added. There will be an exemption for hauliers traveling from Portugal to allow transport of essential goods. The Department for Transport said it was also imposing a ban on direct flights to England from the targeted countries, impacting services from Argentina, Brazil, Cape Verde, and Portugal. Numerous virus variants have been identified since the pandemic began last year, including a more contagious one that has led to a surge of infections in Britain in recent months. The UK government has faced criticism over its borders policy during the health crisis, initially allowing international arrivals and departures to continue last year even as infections surged. It then introduced requirements to self-isolate if people have been somewhere that is not on a regularly updated travel corridors list. But from next Monday, Alma, travelers will need to present proof of a negative coronavirus test result in order to be allowed into England, or face a £500 equivalent to $685 or €564 fine on arrival. The change announced last week was set to begin Friday, but late Wednesday, the government said it was delaying its imposition in order to give travelers more time to prepare. So, Alma, Britain has been one of the worst hit countries in Europe by the pandemic, recording nearly 85,000 deaths and more than 3.2 million cases to date. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Erica, for your updates there. And looking forward to more. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I am Erica Celestino. We'll live in interesting times.
Now, one of the most famous icons of the Netherlands is the tulip. In fact, it has its own special day, the National Tulip Day. Held on the third Saturday of January, the National Tulip Day marks the opening of the tulip season in the country. We have Malu Francisco of our EBC Netherlands Bureau with this story.
Oh, hi, CJ, and hello, Alma. Thank you for having me. It's nice to talk about the tulips. At least that brings in something positivity and some colors into these COVID times. Well, the tulip plays a very important role in the economy and tourism of the Netherlands. However, due to COVID-19, the usual celebration is canceled, but the celebration continues. The celebration continues. The organizers of the usual celebration of the National Tulip Day in Amsterdam, and according to the organizer, for this year the theme is Let's Connect. The organizers of the celebration are reminding us that tulips can indeed make a connection. The tulip symbolizes hope and positivity, and so why not donate tulips? Now, let's have a look back on what usually happens on the National Tulip Day. So we're having a look back now, and the video and the pictures that you are now seeing on the screen were taken during the National Tulip Day 2019. And this usually takes place every year in front of the Royal Palace at the Dam Square. This is a historical center in Amsterdam. And here, this is really exciting, the National Tulip Day. Imagine free, gratis. You can pick your own 20 tulips of your choice. And what else can you ask for? There. But one thing that you should remember, you are banned from bringing plastic bags because plastic bags are not allowed in the Netherlands. Now, where do you put your tulips? You will be given paper bags. So here, around 10,000 people are expected, and they're advised to come early to save a spot. Waiting time before you can enter the garden is about an hour or more. Locals and international visitors get excited. Why not? Free tulips, free music. What else? A colorful background for selfie photos. And now, despite the COVID-19, there's something to look back, or to look ahead, as you will see now on the screen. So from looking back, the Dutch are looking ahead. So why not join them? So these are the types of tulips and other flower bulbs that you can see or you can explore and admire during the tulip season. The tulip season begins in mid-March and ends in mid-May. Nevertheless, while we're on lockdown and travel restrictions, because traveling to the Netherlands is discouraged, you can still explore this powerful landscape of colorful tulips of different shapes, different colors, and different scents. All you have to do is go online and travel virtually and enjoy the beauty of the colorful landscape because of the flowers that come into bloom. So look ahead as we look forward to our spring this year. So I hope you'll do that, CJ and Alma. So join me. Just ask me if you're having a hard time.
Thank you so much, Malu. Well, free tulips, free music. I'm definitely going to be checking that out tonight. Thank you so much.
And I can tell you more about the history of the tulips. Why is it called the diva of the flower bulb?
Buy and installation of elevators, escalators, air conditioners, ventilators, jet towel hand dryers, generators, access control system, factory automation and modernization. For more info, please contact Ami Kanke at 0915-263-7198 or 0998-900-3224.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
Welcome back. Beijing has hit back at the blacklisting of smartphone giant Xiaomi and a host of other Chinese firms by the United States as the Trump administration aims to cement its trade war legacy against China. Take a look.
特朗普政府泛化国家安全概念，滥用国家力量，一再无端打压中国企业，中方对此坚决反对。特朗普政府 出台上述措施，再次向世人展示了什么是单边主义，什么是双重标准，什么是霸凌行径。中方将采取必要措施，坚决维护中国企业的正当合法权益，坚决支持中国企业依法维护自身权益。
Now, shares in Xiaomi collapsed on Friday after the U.S. blacklisted the smartphone. The flurry of last-minute blacklistings is the coda to 4 years of aggressive diplomatic and trade policies towards rival China under Donald Trump. With just 6 days to go before the president leaves office, U.S. officials made a series of announcements targeting Chinese firms, including state oil giant CNOOC, Xiaomi, and embattled social media favorite TikTok. Xiaomi, which overtook Apple last year to become the world's third largest smartphone manufacturer, was one of 9 firms classified by the Pentagon as communist Chinese military companies. The Pentagon's action means U.S. investors now will be unable to purchase Xiaomi securities and will ultimately have to divest down the line unless the order is overturned by the incoming administration of Joe Biden.
In other news, Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus proposal was met with a shrug in Asia Friday, as observers said the massive spending spree had been largely factored into valuations, while profit-taking weighed on markets at the end of a broadly healthy week. Reassurances from Federal Reserve boss Jerome Powell that record low interest rates and loose monetary policy would remain in place for some time removed some lingering angst on trading floors, while there remains plenty of optimism about the long-term economic outlook. With days before he takes office, President-elect Biden unveiled his rescue package, which he said addressed the twin crises of the pandemic and this sinking economy. The plans include an extra $1,400 cash handout for individuals to top up the $600 in last month's stimulus, a hike in the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and billions of dollars to ramp up vaccinations so that 100 million are administered in the first 100 days of Biden. While welcomed by investors, the proposals failed to fire a surge in stocks, with Asian markets mostly down, with analysts warning that some valuations may be a little overdone and ripe for investors to cash in their profits. Tokyo, Seoul, Mumbai, Taipei, Manila, Jakarta, Bangkok, and Wellington were all down, though Hong Kong and Singapore saw gains, while Sydney and Shanghai were barely moved. London fell at the open after data showed the UK economy shrank 2.6% in November. Paris and Frankfurt were also lower.
President Duterte believed that the construction of more skyways would free Filipinos from the horrendous traffic situations in the country, particularly in Metro Manila. In a speech delivered during the inauguration of the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3 project in Quezon City, the president said travel will be easier for Filipinos as his government continues to pursue more infrastructure projects. Take a look.
What's your marching order? Just make the life of the Filipino comfortable. Today, the life of many may not really be very, very comfortable. But ang hiningi ko lang naman, komportable lang na buhay. And if this will continue, the planned skyways and more, then we will be freed of the horrendous traffic congestion that is obtaining in all cities, crowded cities in the world.
The MMSS3 project, which is divided into 5 sections during its construction, is an elevated 18.83-kilometer expressway from Buendia, Makati City to the North Luzon Expressway in NLEX in Balintawak, Quezon City. The expressway project connects the NLEX and the South Luzon Expressway. It's also expected to decongest traffic in Metro Manila's major thoroughfares by as much as 55,000 vehicles daily and reduce travel time from Buendia to Balintawak from 2 hours to approximately 15 to 20 minutes. Through the MMSS3 project, the president said Filipino travelers no longer have to bear the brunt of traffic mess in the country's metropolis.
As the free collaborative encyclopedia website Wikipedia turns 20 today, January 15, founder Jimmy Wales says the nonprofit's next ambition is to expand further among languages in the developing world to better serve the next 2 billion people who come online. Watch this.
Newspapers. You know, being a nonprofit has been incredibly beneficial to the organization in the sense that we have a very simple mission and we just stick to that mission. And so we don't get distracted by ways of raising more revenue and so on and so forth. So all of the real issues that we're seeing today, you know, the questions of algorithms that are designed to drive engagement in order to get more ad revenue. Well, we don't have any algorithms like that thing. So we really do focus on how can we build an institution that can last as long as, you know, Oxford University. You know, we really want to be that type of thing in society for a long time to come. And then the biggest change, I would say, is going to be one that's kind of invisible to most of us, which is the growth of Wikipedia in the languages of the developing world. That's really important, that the next billion people, the next 2 billion people who come online are going to want to participate in Wikipedia to grow their own you know, storehouse of knowledge, and they're going to rely on us to support that work, and that's a big part of how I think about the future. You know, these platforms struggle with misinformation, disinformation. They struggle with abuse, bad behavior. And, you know, I would say with Donald Trump, they did a poor job of dealing with him for a very, very long time. From a freedom of expression point of view, what I would say is, look, Trump is free to start his own newspaper, to start his own TV channel, to start his own website, right? He can do all of these things. He's not necessarily free to sort of pontificate on Twitter if they find what he's saying is sort of not something that they can stomach.
Samsung unveiled a new Galaxy S21 smartphone lineup with prices lowered by some $200 from the prior generation of the South Korean giant's flagship handsets. Unveiled in a streamed presentation, the S21 device with a 6.2-inch display is available for order at an entry price of $800 for U.S. customers. The global smartphone leader also unveiled the 6.7-inch S21 Plus and premium S21 Ultra handsets with a 6.8-inch display. All the devices support the ultra-fast 5G wireless networks being rolled out globally. The move follows Apple's decision to largely hold the line on prices for its iPhone while offering a range of handsets at various price points. Samsung's new lineup will range up to $1,200 starting price for its Ultra S21, the most feature-rich device in the group. Samsung touted its improved processors and camera technology and new design for the Android-powered smartphones. Samsung has been at or near the top of the smartphone market in recent years and sold an estimated 80 million handsets in the third quarter, ahead of Chinese firms Huawei and Xiaomi and US-based Apple.
Meanwhile, Blue Origin launches its 14th suborbital New Shepard mission using its reusable rocket to boost an unpiloted crew capsule out of the discernible atmosphere for a brief sojourn in weightlessness to test accommodations, cockpit displays, and other systems for upcoming passenger flights. According to a Forbes report, the mission saw the company's 18-meter-tall rocket launch a capsule into the boundary of space, one that's designed to eventually carry humans at a cost of $200,000 or so per ticket. The test launch is conducted in Blue Origin's private site north of Van Horn, Texas, east of El Paso.
We've confirmed Max Q. Excellent. Welcome back, New Shepard.
And touchdown. We will be back after a few messages.
Ang garbage patch, ito yung parang akala mong isla kapag nasa langit ka. Pero yan po ay isla ng basura. Paano pa yung basura sa ilalim ng dagat?
Sa episode na ito ay pag-aaralan natin ang mga produkto na maaari nating gawin mula sa mga basura.
Hinanapan ko talaga siya ng paraan paano ko siya magagamit sa loob ng bahay.
Pwede mo siyang gawing isang product na maging maganda.
Makatutulong na sa kalikasan, malaki pa ang pag-asa para kumita.
Sinubukan ko siyang gamitin sa silya ng restaurant sa Davao. 7 years na. Intact pa rin yung chair.
Dito na ako nagkaroon ng idea na gawin siya isang business.
Ako po, si Robin Padilla. At ito po ang ulat. Kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
Sa hanap buhay.
James Harden is joining the Brooklyn Nets in a blockbuster NBA trade from the Houston Rockets. According to U.S. media report, on Tuesday, Harden had lashed out after the Rockets were thumped 117-100 at home by the Los Angeles Lakers. And on Wednesday, he's barred from team practice following the outburst. Take a look.
He wasn't at practice. We felt it was best for James and best for the group for him not to come to practice today. That's hard to hear, and especially when you don't believe it and you know it not to be true.
Question for him, will he ever think he could play with us again? I don't know. Quite honestly, don't care. He can feel however he wants to feel with the organization or whatever his current situation is, but the other 14 guys in the locker room have done nothing to him. So for us to be on the receiving end of some of the, disrespectful comments and antics, it's completely unfair to us.
I love this city. I literally, done everything that I can. The situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So.
ESPN and The Athletic reported that the 2018 NBA MVP will head to the Nets in a trade that will see Harden reunited with former Oklahoma City Thunder teammate Kevin Durant.
Meanwhile, a Japanese cabinet minister admitted Friday that anything can happen with the coronavirus postponed Tokyo Olympics, becoming the first senior official to concede uncertainty about the games as Japan and other countries battle a surge in cases. Taro Kono, Minister for Administrative and Regulatory Reform, did not rule out the possibility of the Olympics being cancelled again, with Greater Tokyo and other regions currently under a state of emergency until at least February 7. Watch this.
こういうコロナの状況ですから、何があるかわからない、様々な事象に対して当然バックアッププランというのは組織委員会なり IOC なりで、考えられて、いるだろうということを申し上げたわけでございます。政府としてはオリンピック・パラリンピックがしっかりできるように準備を進めているということだと思います。
He is the first cabinet minister to deviate from Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga's insistence that Japan is on track to hold a safe and secure games despite a state of emergency being expanded this week to cover a total of 11 regions, including Osaka and Kyoto. Public support for the Olympics has plummeted in Japan, with a recent poll finding that more than 80% of respondents think the games should be cancelled or postponed again. Tokyo 2020 President Yoshihiro Mori said in a speech Tuesday that another postponement is absolutely impossible, according to local media. Mori also said Japan will decide in the coming months whether to allow foreign fans to enter for the games. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has said Japan is committed to hosting the games and believes the public mood will change when the country begins its vaccination program set for late February.
And finally, in our news, whistleblowing, flag-waving superfan Kyoko Ishikawa has attended every Summer Olympics in the past 30 years. And the Tokyo resident doesn't plan on missing out on a games in her home city. The 51-year-old can't wait to welcome the world to Tokyo, even though surging infections and skyrocketing costs have convinced many other Japanese that the event should not go ahead this year. Take a look.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, he really wanted to have me to go together to Atlanta. It's gonna be hell. Definitely, it will happen. And then.まあ、1992年バルセロナ、1996年のアトランタ、でそれから2000年のシドニー で2004年のアテネ、2008年の北京、2012年のロンドン、そして2016年のリオ、はい、ですね。そして2020年の東京も行きます。Rather no one.
Right. But at the same time, you know, like one of
Olympic class, Japanese have enough money to buy tickets, even though those are expensive. So I can show you how the tickets, like why there are different tickets. もうみんなうわーって地球上の全ての地球上から集まってきて、そのシティ、ね、街一点にもう集中してその 2,3 週間といるっていう、もうこれがもう人種のるつぼであり、でそれしてもう本当にこうダイバーシティの、もうコンセントレートなんていうんですかね、もうそのコンセントレーションがものすごい濃いコンセントレーションで、もうこんなのはやっぱりオリンピックでしかないんですよね。
She looks like a fun person to be with or like spend a vacation with. That's it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I am CJ Hero. We'll see you again tomorrow.
We'll see you back tomorrow, and at the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.